Hello and happy Saturday. Welcome to week 7 of the NFL season. More importantly, week 7 of the fantasy football season. This is Play Calling with Keenan, brought to you by Incede.ai. Let's talk some football. Let's take a look back at week 6 of the fantasy football season. We got a couple booms of the week. First off, Tua is in for Miami. Even though Ryan Fitzpatrick was playing exceptionally well this year, per his standards, he is now out as a starter, is shifting over to a mentor role. Tua is in. He saw some action late last week. He'll head into the bye week with preparation to become the starter going forward. So fantasy implications there. All Fitzpatrick owners should instantly go to the waiver wire and pick up Tua. Another boom of the week is the Buccaneers. Breaking news, they have signed Antonio Brown to a 1-year deal. Tom Brady, Antonio Brown reunion. Bruce Arians, Antonio Brown reunion. He was the offensive coordinator with AB in Pittsburgh for the first 2 years of his career, has a solid existing relationship. That Buccaneers offense is now, weapons galore between Antonio Brown, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, Ronald Jones, Gronkowski. Brady and Bruce Arians are going to have to really make it a point to get all these guys the ball. If you're Brady, you got to be happy. Brady fantasy football owners, you got to be happy. Godwin and Evans, we'll see. Targets may get vouchered there, or vultured, I should say. That will be really interesting to see what happens at Tampa Bay going forward. Another boom of the week, Derrick Henry. The dude is a monster. He absolutely drove a dagger through my heart in fantasy this week. His 90-something yard touchdown run was the finisher for me. And he joins Alvin Kamara for a couple 40-point performers in multiple formats of the league. Bust of the week, the Cleveland Browns kind of called that one. OBJ and Baker Mayfield really struggled against a really tough pass rush for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Steelers look good. Claypool, another strong game. Big Ben continues to play fairly well, albeit not throwing the deep ball. But the bust of the week looked like the Browns, but we all kind of saw that one coming. Additionally, the NFC West is back wide open, at least for second place, as the Niners took really good care of the Rams, surprisingly enough. Rams offense never really found a rhythm, and they found themselves now in a driver's seat for playoff position to back in the mixture of the hunt. The Niners with a big rebound win. They got their butts kicked last week, and they came out and responded really, really strong this week on Sunday Night Football. And looking at the biggest loser of the week, we have COVID. COVID is once again handled and defeated by NFL schedule makers. Really tip my cap to them using their creativity and flexibility in making the season happen. It's really looking promising that we're going to see a full season at this point. And I've got to give credit to the NFL. They've handled it really well. Really good job. We haven't incorporated a bubble, but we've incorporated fantasy football through 6 weeks, and I think we're going to make it the whole season. So that's looking good for the NFL. Taking a look at the injuries heading into week 7, Michael Thomas fantasy owners, disappointment once again creeps in as he will miss another week. And joining him missing in the receiver corps for the Saints will be Emmanuel Sanders. He's been added to the COVID reserve list. He will also be out Sunday. Saints really thin across the board receiver. Going to count on Alvin Kamara a lot, so Kamara owners rejoice there. Additional injuries, the Jets, Sam Darnold out again. The Flacco show rolls on. Unfortunately, Flacco wasn't able to connect with Jameson Crowder much on Sunday. Expect more opportunities to come this weekend. So if you're really desperate at quarterback, Joe Flacco will be a play there. Joining the ranks of out, Joe Mixon. Inactive this week. He'll be gone. Giovanni Bernard is the top ad in all leagues. Is available in, I believe, 91% of leagues. So go out and add Giovanni Bernard. For the Cowboys, no playmakers necessarily out, but they will be down 2 linemen in Brandon Knight and Zach Martin. I myself have Zeke. I'm hoping that those other guys, another week of practice, can be able to create some lanes for Zeke and protect Andy Dalton. But it remains to be seen. We'll see on Sunday a very strong front seven for the Redskins, the Washington football team. So expect a lot of blitzes from the Washington football team, and hopefully the Cowboys can step up for Zeke and Dalton and all the receiver core fantasy owners. Aaron Jones will most likely not play as he did not practice Friday. If he does not go, you're going to want to add Jamaal Williams and rookie A.J. Dillon. Those guys are very good plays behind a very explosive Green Bay offense. I see a big-time rebound week for them after a very disappointing game versus the Buccaneers. Looking at more injuries, Raheem Mostert is most likely heading to the IR. Another disappointing one for me. I feel for Mostert owners, he's one of the more electric guys when he has the ball. He will most likely be headed into IR with ankle injuries. Jerick McKinnon remains a reliable play there. Miles Jack will be out for the Jaguars. I say that defensive player is out because he's been the heart and soul of that defense. So expect a lot of opportunities for other guys to step up for the Jaguars. And finally, DeAndre Hopkins listed as questionable, did not practice Thursday. Practice limited today. I expect him to play. He's got a big, juicy matchup versus the Seahawks secondary that has struggled. Jamal Adams, his counterpart on the other side of the ball. We'll see what happens with Jamal Adams. He's expected to be a game-time decision. Coming off a bye week, we hope he's healthy, but that could be a good matchup between him shading DeAndre Hopkins. The Hawks are really going to have their hands full with him if he does go. Those are injuries of the week, and we have the Raiders. Pretty much the whole offensive line in COVID, so we'll kind of get into that matchup a little later in the show, but the Raiders are hopefully to have those guys back, but it remains to be seen. Taking a look at the rookie recap from week 6, we start in Minnesota, where Justin Jefferson has been an absolute world killer over there. Trade the offseason for between the Bills and the Vikings has worked out for both teams. Bills sent a first-round pick, which now become Justin Jefferson, to the Vikings in exchange for Stephon Diggs. Been a win-win for both teams. Stephon Diggs has really done well, running routes not just deep for the Buffalo, but also over the middle of the field and short. But let's take a look at Justin Jefferson. Phenomenal week. 9 catches, 166 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He's now gone over 100 yards 3 times this year. Been a really reliable play in fantasy. Had a kind of a quiet week in Seattle, maybe more due to the Vikings getting up so fast early and we're leaning more on the run game. But going forward, he's going to bye this week. He's got a couple tough matchups, but he's played really well. I mean, Justin Jefferson has really been the cream of the crop receiving core here. Looking at running backs wise, we take a look at one of my picks to have a good week, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He had a huge week. I'm not right in everything, but this certainly got this one right. He ran for over 150 yards. He had 161 yards, added 4 catches for 8 yards. Had a really solid week in fantasy. His impact going forward will really be kind of a maybe who's got the hotter hand, who's running harder. Him and Le'Veon Bell providing a lot of options to just a lot of options to the Chiefs this year. They have a lot of just so many weapons. I'm not sure how they're getting them all the ball. But, I mean, look at his volume. He's gone over 20 carries 3 times. He's been spot on 10 twice, and he's been at 16 twice or 16 once. So his usage has been pretty high, but we will see what happens going forward. I don't have a good answer for going forward, how he will or how Andy Reid will choose to use him. Another receiver that's kind of been one of the hot names is Chase Claypool. He had backed up his good week with another one. So following his 7-catch, 110-yard, 3-touchdown performance, he was able to have 4 catches for 74 yards and also run for a touchdown. He's now ran for a touchdown in back-to-back games. Doesn't seem sustainable running, but it does say something to Pittsburgh's creative play calling that they're managing getting the ball. And it's really testament to the level of playmaking playmaker he's been so far this year. With or without Deontay Johnson going forward, I would think that Chase Claypool is going to be a very high start option going forward, in at least at the flex, WR2, WR3. He's proven himself as a solidified option. Justin Herbert coming off bye could be a pretty big play this week. We will see what he's expected to do. Having a full week of practice as a starter, hedging into playbooks, getting routes in with all his receivers. I think this should be a pretty good opportunity for Justin Herbert here. Coming off a 4-touchdown performance versus New Orleans, playing a very soft Jacksonville defense without Miles Jack. I think it could be a pretty good matchup for him. All right, taking a look at quarterbacks. My first quarterback to start this week is Teddy Bridgewater. Coming off his sit recommendation from me, he struggled versus the Bears. Very tough defense. Khalil Mack was after him. But this week he plays the Saints. The Saints are coming off a bye, although they're just 8-5 coming off a bye under Sean Payton. I expect the boom to lean more for Teddy Bridgewater. The middling 16-6 projection, he's just got a good matchup. The Saints are yielding 3 touchdowns per game to wide receivers. And Teddy Bridgewater should be able to take advantage with Robbie Anderson and more. And most likely he won't be under duress the way he was this last game. He was just being chased by Khalil Mack and Hicks. And I expect that to be changed. So, he's boomed once this year and busted twice. But he should be leaning for that second boom this week in a pretty opportune matchup versus the Saints, who do have the 18th ranked pass defense. My sit of the week is going to be, at no fault of his own, Derek Carr. As previously mentioned, he is going to be down possibly all 5 of his linemen. He's playing a brutal Buccaneers defense that was able to sack Aaron Rodgers 5 times last week. The Buccaneers have the 6th best pass defense. Watson seems to agree with me as there's a 19% chance he busts below 10.8 and only a slim 9% chance he booms over 22.8. He has performed fairly well against projections thus far this year, booming twice and have not yet bust. But just a tough matchup, and ultimately he may be under a lot of pressure with those linemen out. Getting running backs I love Jamaal Williams this week. Could be a rare plug-and-play opportunity for RB2 or RB1. With Aaron Jones being out this week, I love Jamaal Williams playing the Texans, the worst run defense in the NFL, giving up over 170 yards per game on the ground. Watson is pretty boorish on him so far in projections. He's supposed to get 9.4. A lot of these projections aren't factoring in the fact that Aaron Jones will not play. I believe if he is ruled out, these projections will skyrocket as far as projections and his boom. I'm leaning for the boom. Looking at his stats so far, he's been not super impressive, only crossed 60 yards once. No touchdowns actually on the year, as he has been known to steal touchdowns from Aaron Jones in the past. One solid pass line, 8 for 95. He can catch the ball, he can block. Expect him to get the majority of action this Sunday. Easy sit answer is Josh Jacobs. And Watson's right on this one. Got a 17% chance to bust, only 7 to boom. He may be without 5 offensive linemen, playing the top run defense in the league, a defense that has been absolutely stifling versus everyone they played this year. This is the easy sit answer, but the more one we may see the surprising is going to be Mike Davis here, who off sheer volume has been a huge beneficiary to just opportunity knocking here with Christian McCaffrey out. He's actually running into a pretty tough matchup this week. Tough matchup given the fact the Saints are the 11th fewest fantasy points thus far this year, giving up 100.2 rush yards per game. Saints are coming off a bye where they're 8-5. They have been really vulnerable over the middle of the field, giving up 3 receiving touchdowns to receivers, or 3 touchdowns per game to receivers. But they've been really stout guarding people out of the backfield. They have a pretty good run defense, and the linebackers really track running backs well. Projections here, I'm more leaning towards the under on this one. Not necessarily a bust, but lower projections. If you have other options, I think Mike Davis is still an RB2, RB3-ish, but if it's in more smaller leagues, 8-person leagues, I might lean towards possibly not playing him this week. Getting into receivers, I love Robbie Anderson. Might be a theme starting here. We now figured out what that bear was doing last week. He had a rougher week, tough matchup, but he's still able to get over 70 yards receiving. This week, Watson loves him. 27% chance to boom, exceeding 20.7 points. He's boomed twice. He's been great. He's kind of established himself as the WR1 in Carolina. Great chemistry with Teddy Bridgewater. Let's take a look at his slash line so far. Double-digit every game. He's gone over 100 3 times, almost 4 with a close 99-yard performance. He's been a high yardage guy so far. He's had multiple-digit targets in every game this year. He's cashed in. His smallest game was 10.5. I love Robbie Anderson going forward, especially with a much easier matchup versus Saints defense that, as previously mentioned, is giving up 3 touchdowns per game to opposing wide receivers. Matchup that I don't love this week is going to be Robert Woods. Tough matchup for Robert Woods this week. He's playing the Bears and their defense that just slowed down Robbie Anderson and the Panthers. Robert Woods has totaled over 40 yards just twice this year. Pretty middling projections so far, with 12% chance to bust, 16% chance to boom. Taking a look here, he hasn't been as big a part of offense as we thought he would be heading into the year. He has been a pretty big impact or pretty big opportunity rushing the ball this year, totaling over 70 yards. But receiving, he hasn't going to get as many targets. He does have 3 touchdowns, but I'm leaning more towards the under on this one. If you have a lot of options at wide receiver, I would look to go elsewhere on him. And finally, we have the triple fade, numbers 2 of the year. I do not like any of the Cowboys receivers. I mean, they're going to be down 2 offensive linemen. We saw a lot of people assumed, including myself, that there wouldn't be that big a drop-off between Dak Prescott and Andy Dalton. That is not the case. Andy Dalton's mobility is a big concern. The Cowboys may be down 2 offensive linemen. They're playing the football team, which has a very good pass rush and is actually rated the 2nd best pass defense in the league. Ron Rivera has come in there and instantly established a tough front 7 that's getting after quarterbacks, and they're ultimately not giving up big plays. I don't like CeeDee Lamb, Michael Cooper, or Michael Gallup or Amari Cooper this week. I would triple fade them in most leagues. My mortal lock of the week. My mortal lock's been pitiful. I am 0 for 2. I shaved the mustache off to change up the luck this week. My mortal lock of this week is the Jets will fire Adam Gase after another loss to the Bills. The writing is on the wall. Tension is brewing. The Jets are going to fire Adam Gase, and they will likely look to the college ranks next year for a new coach. Mortal lock of the week. Enjoy. Let's take a flex break here. My flex of the week is Mike Williams. I love Mike Williams coming off a bye, finally getting healthy. He's really done not very well this year up until that New Orleans Saints game where he had a big game, established a chemistry with Justin Herbert, one more week to get reps with him off bye, come off a 2-touchdown game. Really the thing about him is health. That's the only thing holding him back. Herbert's shown the deep throw ability, and he should really be able to stretch the field versus a Jaguars defense that's 26th ranked pass defense, giving up over 270 yards per game. Mike Williams is only rostered in 52.2% of leagues. I really like Mike Williams as my flex of the week. Wild card of the week for me, it is someone who is rostered in only 32.8% of ESPN leagues. That is Cole Beasley. Cole Beasley has quietly put together a really impressive season in fantasy as a flex WR3. He scored anywhere from 9.8 to 16 points. No really big bust weeks. He's been really consistent, not a huge boom guy, but he's more of a guy, if you need someone to give you 12 to 14 points, you're in a bind, injuries, buys. Cole Beasley off waiver wires, wild card of the week, should be able to give you pretty good production. His matchup versus the Jets gives him an opportunity to possibly boom this week. 23% chance to exceed 20.9 points, 18% chance to go below 8, though we have not seen him do it yet. I don't think he's going to do it this week. Another reason because of that is John Brown is out for the Bills. Rebound game, tough game versus the Chiefs. Expect them to stretch the field. Throw into Stephon Diggs and Cole Beasley is the number 2. Cole Beasley, my wild card of the week. That is a wrap. Week 7 play call with Keenan, brought to you by Incede.ai. Enjoy the football this weekend. Go Hawks. Bold prediction, Khabib, 4th round submission over Justin Gaethje. Enjoy.